Right, and it says, you can see it on the board if you haven't got your Bibles. And Jesus said to those Jews who believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." That's the title of my message this morning. And they answered him, "We are Abraham's descendants. We have never been in bondage to anyone. How can you say we will be made free? You will be made free." Okay. We'll just interrupt the essay. And here's a little illustration of where this passage is taken. So Jesus' ministry was 3.5 years. 3.5 years, and you can see that it's taken in the last 6 months. The last 6 months. The last 6 months of his ministry. And last week we had chapter 10, John 10. The week before we had Pastor Hillary do chapter 11, the raising of Lazarus. And we find that in chapter 12 is the start of the Passion Week, which is the last week of Christ's, the week before Christ's crucifixion. And so you've got half the book of John focusing at the end of Jesus' life, at the time when he's crucified. So that's interesting to know from the book of John. It focuses there on the crucifixion. And it's also another interesting fact. It's only by the book of John that we know that Jesus' ministry was 3.5 years. And that was because it's only in the book of John that it records the 3 Passovers. No, the 4 Passovers. So there's another interesting point about the book of John. Let's carry on. How can you say you will be made free? Jesus answered them, "Most assuredly I say to you, whoever commits sin is a slave of sin. And a slave does not abide in the house forever, but the Son abides forever. Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. I know that you are Abraham's descendants, but you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you. I speak what I have seen with my Father, and you do what you have seen with your father." They answered and said to him, "Abraham is our father." Jesus said to them, "If you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth, which I heard from God. Abraham did not do this. You do the deeds of your father." Then they said to him, "We were not born of fornication. We have one Father, God." Jesus said unto them, "If God were your Father, you would love me, for I proceeded forth and came forth from God. Nor have I come of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you're not able to listen to my word. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your heart, of your father, you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth. Therefore, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is the liar and the father of it. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. Which of you convicts me of sin? And if I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? He who is of God hears God's words. Therefore, you do not hear because you are not of God. So, May the Lord add the blessing to the reading of His Word. So I wanted to carry on when I last gave a message last time was on the law of life. And we could also give it another title, fundamental law, a universal law, a law of the truth of life. But here, as my title of this message is, the truth shall set you free. And I'm just going to go quickly over what I passed over last time. What is disease? I looked at that. Where does it come from? What is needed to have health? How do you function? What motivates you to do what you do? What is the purpose of your existence? How can you have a purpose-driven life with health, joy, and freedom? That was the last part that I didn't cover. And I gave the illustration of the tree. And you can see a tree, and straight away, if you see something wrong, you know there's a problem. And we consider it as a symptom, you know. It might be a pain or a cough or an itch. And so we might take something to fix that problem, fix that pain. And so you take a pill to take that pain away. Doesn't go away, so you ask a doctor for another stronger medication. And then you find it's not the pain that's a problem, it's the knife in the back that's causing the problem. So it's important to focus on the cause of your disease rather than what you see appearing. And so did the pain medication remove the cause of the pain? No, it didn't. And it's like a fire alarm. The fire alarm's there for a purpose. It lets you know that there's going to be a fire in the house. But what if you cover the fire alarm? Does it stop the fire? No, it doesn't. It's just there to help you, guide you, to show you that there's a problem. And so this is like to the branches, which are our behaviors. You know, each of us need to eat, drink and breathe, and from that we have our needs. You know, we need water, we need oxygen, we need food, and the behaviors to get those needs into our body, we need to eat and drink and breathe. So our needs come outside from ourselves. It's like the word air. Comes outside. We've got to take it in. Both for air, water, and food. We've got to take it in from outside. So it's our own responsibility. We need oxygen, but we have to, and oxygen won't force itself in. We've got to take it in ourselves. The same for water. It doesn't just flow into you. It's a need. You've got to do something yourself. The same for food. That doesn't jump down your throat. You've got to eat. Now, everything first takes what it needs, and then it gives and ministers to others. So that food, you take the food, you eat it, and then by eating it, you're able to digest it, and the food now is able to give those nutrients to the body. And that's this law of life that I'm presenting here. You take to give. So, can you change what you need? No. Good behavior is good fruit. So, sometimes you can have too little water, or you could have too much water, or you could have the wrong stuff. You may believe, because this represents as your roots, you may believe that Coca-Cola is what you need, but it's the wrong stuff, and you'll get sick. Now, we've seen air, food, water. Now, is love a need? That's what I have presented. What behavior or action that brings the love to how we can use that need? And it's by our thoughts. It's the way we think. You know, it comes from outside. And last time I gave the illustration, I went to Morgan's house, and there was a pillow, and it had the date when Trent met Morgan, and they got together. And obviously, every time they see the pillow, that's a symbol or a token of love. And you take that in, and you don't eat that, you don't drink it. It's just by your thoughts that your body is able to receive love. And now, I've got a question mark here. Can we receive love from people? Is that the best place to take love from? And this is what we'll look at there now. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Function and law. All things that function are governed by law. All laws that govern function are unchangeable. Proper function is only maintained by staying within the law. And dysfunction happens when you go outside of the law. And here's another term, fundamental law. Nothing exists from itself. All things are dependent upon resources that come from outside of itself in order to function. Like ourselves, we need food and need air. Like the trees and the birds and the animals outside, they need to get their sources from outside. Nothing exists for itself. So there's the fundamental law there. And it's taking to give. That's the law. Thermodynamics, you can see another example here. All energy necessary for a system to function must come from outside itself. You think of potential energy. That's when a body of water, we'll have a look at a dam. The dam is up high, and that body of water has got potential energy. And then when it goes down the chute, down to the turbines, that potential energy gets converted to kinetic or momentum or kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy turns the turbines to create. So that energy, it just gets transformed, and it comes out from itself. Right, what else have we got? Cause and effect, we've seen that. Every effect must have a cause, and every cause must produce an effect. So these are basic laws. And here's another example. Say a highway. We've got a highway, and we've got our health as our highway. The highway of health. We live, if we want to have health, we want to have everything working properly, and we want to be comfortable. And here we got our needs, water, warmth. However, if you go outside outside the highway, you get dysfunction, you get discomfort. And so the edge of the road represents the law. If you go either side, you'll go into the ditch. And if you're not warm enough, you'll start to shiver. And when you start to shiver, that lets you know you want to do something to get warm again. So you come back to the center. And if you're too cold, or you're too hot, you start to sweat, and you take off your clothes, and that'll make you comfortable again. And so each time there's those symptoms, we can consider them as rumble steps. They're letting you know that you're going outside the law, your comfort zone. And so those rumble steps or disease or symptoms, they're indicators for you and me to come back and operate in a proper way. However, if you go beyond the symptoms, you ignore them, you're going to have disease. And when you have disease, that's another warning sign to do something to come back into the right position to have health. Or if you don't have enough, you get another disease there. So if you have lots of pain, you might take lots of pills. But the bigger the pill, it just widens that road, but it's outside the law. However, if you go beyond disease, you don't do anything, what will happen is you'll die. So, we find, I mentioned that love is also a need. Is there a state where, you've got to keep within the road to have good health from love? And if you go beyond that, you'll have disease, you'll have some symptoms because you haven't got the right love. Maybe you've got a Coca-Cola type love and not the proper love. And so health is the proper function. Health is proper function, the effect of staying within the law. And disease is dysfunction, the effect of going outside the law. Symptoms of disease are like the fire alarm, the rumble strips, and they're a good thing to have. We've seen the cause of effect. Every effect must have a cause, and every cause must produce an effect. If the effect is present, it's because the cause is present. If the cause is removed, then the effect ceases also. And no effect can produce itself. Okay, we're just talking basic law here. It's dependent upon the power and materials outside of itself to function. You'll never find an effect without a cause. There's no such thing as chance. There's nothing random. The Bible says, the curse, causeless, shall not come. In the laws of nature, in the laws of God and nature, effect follows cause with unerring certainty. The will of God establishes the connection between cause and effect. So there's those laws there. What is breaking the law called? Sin. Which law is broken? It's God's law. And what is the foundation of God's law? Love. Yes, it is. And so this is an aspect that I'm going to focus on now for the rest of the message. Disease is the result of a love problem, sin. Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at the love relationship. And now we have two parts. We take and we give. Those two aspects are important. And God has designed that we take from one and we give to the other. Let's just get my notes here. There. So, and that's divine love. That's the way God is designed. Now, the thing is, the enemy has designed to disrupt that, turn things around. And so what he's done, he's given the idea that we need to give, we need to take so we can give back. We give what we can to take back. Okay, let me carry on. Sin is human love. You can see that on the bottom there. However, if you live by God's designed way, you'll have life. However, if you live Satan's way, this is the divine way. We have the love relationship, and we've got the 10 Commandments here, and we see it's exclusive. You've got 2 tables of stone. You've got the first 4, and they're exclusive, and the last 6. So there, we're to take from the first table, God's side, and we're to give it to the other side. So let's see how this plays out. We've got the first commandment. There's only, let's see, how many gods are there? There's only one. There's only one. And the second commandment, how many gods should we worship? One. And the third commandment, how many are we to give reverence to? One. How does it come out? Not very well there. And on the fourth commandment, how many days are we to set aside? One. So we have one source, God is, and that's God. We're only to take from that side. Take from that side. And we're to give honour to parents, and we're not to take from that side. We're not to take from that side. And so we are dependent on God, and we're independent on everyone else. And let me illustrate that. We're looking for a property in the country, and there's three properties in the area, and the middle one is for sale. And you say, "Oh, this looks like a wonderful place." So you buy that place. And you use the stream. You've got a little hydropower station there, and you use it for your water, for your irrigation, your farm, and drinking. It's just lovely, pure water. However, the farm below you sets up this manufacturing plant, and they use the water too, and they pollute it. And you can see that there. And however, let's go back. They start their manufacturing plant, they pollute the water, but it doesn't bother you, does it? Because you're still getting good water. It's clean. It's coming from a good source. It doesn't matter what the person down the river does it? They can do whatever they like. It doesn't affect me. However, if the farmer right upstream of you set up his manufacturing plant, and he took the water in, and out it came the other side, and it dirtied the water, you wouldn't be happy, would you? No, you wouldn't. You know, you'd have bad water to drink, your plants would die, and so you'd be very upset. And so this is the idea where you're dependent upon where you take your source. So here we have the right love relationship. You can do it the way God is designed, or you can do it the way you think is right. And sometimes you use your parents as a source. Sometimes it's your family as your source of love and affection and support. Sometimes it's your spouse. Sometimes it's the church. You look to your church to support you doing things. This is the false way, the wrong way. And the problem is when you make these individuals your source instead of God as your source, you get frustrated with them. You get upset with them. They do things. You know, you're giving them, you think you're giving them love and good things that you may get back from them, love and affection and good things in return. See, as a human, you're doing it the opposite way to what God has designed that we can have happiness with. And you see, having those things as your source, you get frustrated, upset, hurt, And you can feel control, or they may be controlling, they may annoy, but that's what happens when you have this wrong understanding of love. You can't get love from your parents, from your family, from your spouse, from friends, from the church. You can only get the good love from God. Getting love from your parents, family, friends, spouse, church, that's the Coca-Cola love. Yeah. So let me illustrate how that works physiologically. So there we have. If we have the right information going to our mind, have we got this? Here we go. And now your brain sends good signals down the nervous system to each of your body's cells. And so those thoughts, plus your mind, that's a soul, isn't it? The physical as well as the spirit. And together, they're a soul. So there's our thoughts. And if we have the truth coming in, you'll have proper function in your body. Yeah? However, if you've got a falsehood, if you've got an untruth there coming in, what happens? It'll go to your brain, and your brain will send it down to the cells, and you'll have dysfunction or disease. So the dysfunction is, we can have dysfunction by inheritance, like cystic fibrosis, like Huntington's disease. You know, those are the type of diseases that can come by inheritance. Or it can be caused by environment, which is it's too hot or it's too cold, or you're in a car accident and you hit the wall at 100 k an hour, and it's going to be dysfunction or dead. And if you have the wrong raw materials, there you go. You can have too little, too much, or it can be poison. And the next point that you can have dysfunction in your body is energy. And the energy comes to 90% of diseases and problems that we have physically. 90%. And the fifth way how you can have disease, as we have here in the story of Job, an enemy did that. So, back to John chapter 8, and we have this discussion between Jesus and the religious leaders. And they have in them, these things of hate, pride, anger, jealousy, greed, covetousness. They get annoyed with Jesus. They're impatient. What else? They're controlling. They like to control people, right? And they're upset with Jesus to the extent that they want to kill him. However, let's look at Jesus, who said, God is my Father. I take everything from him. And we see the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And so, let's pick up this here. Here we are. And now in our lives, we have things backwards. We have other people upstream of us, other things upstream of us, and we're dependent on them, and we are affected by them. And so the law of God is broken, and we're living contrary to the way God has designed us. And so this is a truth that if we take from God as for everything that we need, rather than having people as our source of comfort, love, and so on, confirmation. That's the truth. And where does it come from? Where has it come from? Right at the beginning in the Garden of Eden, Satan said to Eve, "Take this and you will be as God." And when Eve took it, and when Adam took the apple, they disregarded God, who said specifically, "Don't go to that tree." And so by going to that tree, they made themselves gods, because I know what's best for me. I don't depend on him. I don't depend on God. I can do whatever I like. And so Adam and Eve had that in them. And ever since, because of the law of hereditary, we get that same thinking, that I am a God. I can do what I like. God, I'm not dependent on God. I can choose what I want to do. Now, this is a slide. I wonder if Barry and Yvonne recognises this. Last year we did a study on Revelation. And so here's a little summary here of chapter 1, what it looks at. And in chapter 2, it talks about the 7 churches. And as you can see on the chart there, each church represents a time period for the Christian church. And you see Ephesus there, and was the church of the first love. Smyrna was the persecuted church, where after Christianity started to go out throughout the known world, there was a lot of opposition, and there was a lot of killing of the Christians. And so each of those periods represents some of the phases that the Christian church went through at that time. And now we're at the last church, and that is Laodicea. Started in 1844, and that period of church will last until Jesus comes. So this is very important. Laodicea. And it says there, Revelation 3:17, "Because you say, 'I am rich, I have become wealthy, and I have need of nothing.' And Jesus says, and do not know that you are miserable, wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked." So what's the story about this group? You know, they think they're pretty good, but Jesus says, no, you're wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. So this group is a deceived group, isn't it? Yeah, they're deceived. They don't know the situation. And we have this idea coming up again. Matthew 24 is when Jesus was telling the disciples, and as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" And Jesus answered and said unto them, "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and shall deceive many." And further on, "And there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect." So there's this idea of deception right before Jesus comes. Oh. Now, I've got a wedding photo there, and let me tell you a little story why I've put that there. Is that, obviously being single is not nice, and so I left it to the Lord to bring the right person into my life at the right time. Anyway, I found Maria, and we started talking. This was last year, because Horst Muller came here. He gave a seminar series, and Maria came to that. And from that, we were able to have get talking because I liked what Horst Muller was saying, which is the law of life, and Maria liked that too. And so we found that we had similar interests. And so in that, we got another doctor in America. His name is Mark Sandoval. He has the law of life, has his sort of guiding principles to help people get to good health. And so Dr. Sandoval wrote us our vows. And so this is the vows that we exchanged, Royal Oak, 2 months ago. Lord, by your grace I will take love, respect, fidelity, and every spiritual need from you, my source. I will give these to Maria. Maria said that to me. I will love her with your love, whether she is rich or poor, healthy or sick, behaving well or behaving badly, until we are separated by death. I will treasure her and treat her with the dignity of a child of God. And I will work together with Maria to accomplish your eternal goals for our marriage. This is my solemn vow to you, my God, as I depend on you alone as my source. So, that's what we've taken. That's what we feel is is the best thing for our lives. And very often among church here and when I go to work, the comment is, "Oh, how's married life? How's married life?" And to be honest, there's been some ups and downs. But because we have chosen to have God as our source, what the other does shouldn't bother us. Yeah? If we understand it right. You know, it's the factory downstream. Whatever they do, doesn't matter. I've got source from God. And let me give you tell you about my story about my walk from Cape Reinga to Bluff. Here we are, Christmas Eve last year.
I think you're bluffing.
There's the photo. And Maria took us up to Cape Reinga, as you can see there. There's her there. And there's Brendan. I've known Brendan for 35 years. We went to Henderson Church together. That's where we first met 35 years ago. And we've been hiking buddies over that time. So when we mentioned it 2 years ago that we'd walk the country, it was great. We sort of were happy with each other because we knew each other, what it was like. So we made inquiries if others wanted to come, but doing a 3.5-month trip for 3,000 kilometres, not everybody chooses to do that. And so this is the first day. Here we are, heading towards 90 Mile Beach. I had a hammock there, and fortunately it was wet. I think, you can see how it was wet there. And there we're heading towards 90 Mile Beach. There we are. And we took 3 days to go down 90 Mile Beach, 100 kilometres. And it was very tough. It was very tough. Even though it's flat, it's very tough because it's all the same. And what happened is Brendan had really bad blisters. And the majority of walkers that go down 90 Mile Beach, they get blisters. And a blessing was that Maria met us at the end of 90 Mile Beach, and we went back to her place for 1 month. 1 week. 1 week for Brendan to recuperate, for his blisters to get better. And so what I wanted to show here was that I really had to practice the law of life in that, even though we'd known each other for many years, we've got the same faith and so on, I annoyed him and he annoyed me. And so often when we were travelling down the country, we'd meet up with other hikers and they say, "Oh, and you're still hiking? Are you still friends, after all this time?" And so, because we're Christians, we've got to show love towards the other. But he annoyed me and I annoyed him. Let me see. Just before starting off, we were at Tikau Church, which is the most northern Adventist church. It's only half an hour away from Cape Reinga. And I said the night before, let's try and leave by 9 or 10 o'clock. So in the morning, I was getting my stuff together and I wasn't well prepared and it was taking longer than 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock went by, 11 o'clock went by, and he wasn't happy. And he made that very clear. But we finally got to start, and we did our first day. Now, I didn't think we had much, we didn't have to press that time because we only had a short walk. We only had 3 or 4 hours walk. So if we started at 12 o'clock, we would get to our destination at 4 o'clock. And then, we get ready. And so, obviously, you need to leave if there's importance. If you need to get to the other point before dark, or you've got a meeting point, you've got to meet a bus, you've got to be on time. So, but I took my time. Anyway, that's the start of it. And then he didn't have a phone. He had a really old phone that had only had 1 hour charge. And so I was on my phone doing all the directions and finding where we are and all the information. And so he got annoyed that I was always on my phone. So, anyway, this carries on for 3.5 months. But I started to get annoyed with him because of these little things that he did. And I got to think, now what's the right way of dealing with this? And then afterwards, because I was getting annoyed with him. He's annoying. But afterwards, I changed my thinking to think, I'll feel sorry for him because he hasn't got a phone. Maybe he would like to see the information and so on. And so the thoughts changed. So he was no longer my source of annoyance, frustration. Let's have a look. So here we have. Now the divine plan is that we're all sinful. But we have the gospel where we can make a supernatural exchange, that all our sinfulness can be put on God, who is righteous, and we take his righteousness. The supernatural exchange. And that is the truth. And so this idea of the law of life, I've missed out on something. Here, the law of life where human nature, we have these traits. We're impatient, we've got pride, we envy, we get hurt, we're angry. That's the natural state. That's the scorpion. Yeah, we're each the scorpion. We all have these traits. Whereas God's nature, we've got love, joy, peace, long-suffering. And so if we draw from God, whenever we get upset or angry, what's going to come out is love, joy, peace, all those good things. Whereas if something happens outside of us, you really get angry, you're only getting angry or annoyed because it's in you at the start. What will come out is only what's in you. And so this is a beautiful truth that we need for these last days. This is the message for these last days, to understand that we take everything from God and no longer our love, give things to others that we can expect them to give something back to us, and then we can feel happy about ourselves. So that's the truth. And so to further this idea, we have a speaker coming to Brentwood Church in 2 weeks' time, Lou's Brinken House. She'll be speaking there Friday evening, Sabbath afternoon and evening, and also Sunday. She'll be talking on these ideas of the law of life, where you can take. And also Mark Sandoval. This is where I've taken a lot of material from. He will be here at YTAC in October. So 18th to 21. So think about it, put it aside, and you'll be blessed. Let's close now with our passage. And you can see where I've coloured the words to where you've got a connection with God or you've got your human nature. Jesus said to those Jews who believed on him, "If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And they answered him, we are Abraham's descendants, and we have never been in bondage to anyone. How can you say you will be made free? You see, they're deceived, and they didn't know it. They thought they were right. They were like the Laodiceans. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with us. But they were deceived. Jesus said to them, "Most assuredly, I say to you, whomever commits sin is a slave of sin, and the slave shall not abide in the house forever, but the Son abides forever. Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. I know that you are Abraham's descendants, but you seek to kill me." Where did that come from? It's naturally in each one of us. We get angry. And what did the Sermon on the Mount say? If you're angry, it's just the same as killing someone. "Because my word has no place in you. I speak what I have seen with my Father. You do what you have seen with your father." That's Satan. And that's the way how we naturally are. They answered and said to him, "Abraham is our father." And Jesus said to them, "If you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham." Because Abraham, when he saw Jesus come as one of the angels, he was very hospitable to him, wasn't he? That was Abraham to Jesus when he came. "But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth, which I heard from God. You do the deeds of your father." Then they said to him, "We were not born of fornication. We have one Father, God." Jesus said to them, if God were your Father, you would love me." See, that's something from this side. "For I proceeded forth and came from God, nor have I come of myself, but he that sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you're not able to listen to my word. You are of your father the devil, the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is the liar and the father of it. But because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. Which of you convicts me of sin? And if I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? He who is of God hears God's words. Therefore, you do not hear because you are not of God. There. So that's, each of us have this idea that we are God. It came from Adam and Eve. There's Jesus, and there's you and me around him. That's the truth. So we've looked at the law of life, disease, where it comes from, how to have health, how to have purpose in your existence, how to live a purpose-driven life, and that is by taking love from the right source. The truth shall set you free. So remember this. This is my closing thought. Remember the stream. Who do you take your source from? Take it from God. Take it from God and take it into you that whatever happens, you're able to pass it on. And what happens to others doesn't matter. So, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Amen.